lot of you will be very familiar with that feeling of jet lag. You're in and out of different time zones and you're absolutely exhausted. Well, what you need is something that can help transport you into that happy, relaxing place.
You know that state of mind that you find yourself in when you're watching a flickering fire or a shimmering lake? Well, the goggles replicate that stimulation with different colours.
The goggles with the MP3 player will cost you around about $700, which obviously isn't cheap. But I've got to say, I kind of liked it. However, some of the Fast Track team also tested it out and they didn't like it so much. They found the lights to be a little bit irritating. So, what are the alternatives? Well, you could buy a nice relaxing CD for about $10 and an eye mask and have a similar result for a lot less. Next up is something that's obviously not very techy, but it could protect your gadgets. So imagine you're in the great outdoors and in your rucksack you've got all your expensive prized possessions. And then all of a sudden it starts to rain. I said it starts to rain. Thank you. So the rain's coming down and you're worried about ruining thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Well, the makers of this stuff reckon that you can spray your rucksack in some waterproofing and then save all your items from being destroyed. Ooh, I sense an experiment coming on. Now, the tissue on the left hasn't had anything done to it. The tissue on the right has been sprayed with the protective waterproofing. Let's give it a go. It's not like with a few squirts of this you can all of a sudden go diving, but when you consider the thousands that we spend on our gadgets, for $10 you can buy this and be safe rather than sorry. Anybody who's a surfer and a skier will tell you that you can't hold a camcorder while you're pulling off your tricks, or perhaps you're with the kids and you don't want to tie up your hands whilst you're playing with them. Well, with this Bluetooth headset, you can record and answer phone calls at the same time.
It's quick to get started. You need a smartphone or an Android phone and the Looksee app downloaded.
The picture quality that you get is good. The only thing is it tends to jump when you move it around quickly. This is for the video enthusiast. And what I love the most is that I can be driving whilst recording, making a phone call and uploading a video all at the same time. Who says men can't multitask?
When traveling on your own on business, the only companion you have is your suitcase.
And this little buddy will set you back $700. Now that's a lot of money on a relationship. So what are you getting for it? Well, you've got someone here that you can actually lean on. Take the weight off your feet. But for me, the sign of a good pal is someone you can party with.
The integrated sound system has a pair of 15-watt speakers on the side of the bag that connect to a digital music player. So you can wiggle while you walk.
On the downside, my MP3 player is on the inside, so every time I want to change tunes, I've got to open and close the case, which is a little bit laborious. But this isn't designed to be sensible or practical. This is a whole lot of fun. This takes the party to wherever you are. You are your mobile disco, and right now, I gotta go and take this to the streets. Let's go.
Shake that.
Who's gonna have a dance with me? Who's gonna dance with me? Who's gonna dance with me? You gonna dance with me? Woo! Who's up for it? Who's having a good time? Let's have a good time. Yeah! Yeah!
Tommy Sandu there, the man with the musical suitcase, inspiring street parties everywhere. Now back here in Forte dei Marmi, expensive cars are de rigueur. You aren't anybody unless you're behind the wheel of one of these. But surely the don of all Italian classic cars is the Alfa Romeo. We sent Inga Lubbridge Kemp into rural Tuscany to road test this icon of the 1950s and 60s.
If you haven't driven one before, I would recommend you start with an easygoing, which is the Giulia GTC. There's just two things, which is the brakes. Okay. They aren't as strong as the modern brakes, and the gearbox to be treated very gently, the stick shift.
I drive automatic at home,
Do you?
I
Really?
do, I'm sorry.
Press the clutch.
Okay,
Then you go, in order to go into first gear, you put second gear in first.
okay.
Exactly. You use second gear as a channel to go into first gear. That's
Okay.
with all 1950s Alfa Romeo gearboxes. And reverse gear is just putting it down there and bringing it back right. Exactly.
Let's hope I don't have to do any reversing.
Alfa Romeo was born in 1910. Despite its turbulent history, the company has produced some of the most beautifully designed cars in the world. When this car was launched in the 1960s, it was a period of great optimism in Italy. The country had recently hosted the Olympic Games and it was in the middle of an economic boom. Alfa Romeo sold 1 million Giulias, but this particular model was very rare. Only 1,000 of them were ever built.
Am I supposed to be enjoying this? Because I haven't got that far yet, I'm afraid.
Oh, we'll take you at most half an hour from here, and then you'll love it.
Am I driving an expensive car?
Well, this would be like a $65,000 car.
Really?
Yeah, it is. And they're getting higher, and prices are increasing steadily.
Just what is it about these collectibles that makes them so popular?
I'm not saying that Alfa Romeo was the best car in the world in the 1960s, because that is a very big claim. But talking about performance, I believe that yes, no doubt it was, because I do not think anybody else had the same powerful 1.3-litre engine and better designed cars.
This looks amazing. Where are we?
This is Lucignano,
Lucignano, okay.
medieval town, still preserved. Kinga, you've done pretty well. You're an accomplished driver by now, and I think I'm confident you'll be enjoying this car, which actually is my favorite, the Alfa Gran Sport 4 Ruote Zagato.
While this vintage car was made at the same time as the Giulia, it's in fact an Alfa Romeo's replica of a 1930s model. Driving this car takes you back to an era when Italy was ruled by Il Duce, who had just recently rescued Alfa Romeo from bankruptcy. It was a period when the company was winning some of the most prestigious motor races in the world.
I do not feel confident at all driving this car. It feels incredibly heavy and the brakes are not braking. I'm still in the first gear. Maybe I'll be brave enough to go into the second gear. Let's give it a go.
The absence of modern technology, such as power steering, makes me appreciate how hard it must have been to race these cars competitively over distances of 1,000 miles.
Do you trust me?
Over the keys to the Dolce Vita icon, Giulietta Spider 1957. Over to you.
Just after Alfa Romeo won the first ever Formula One championship, the Giulietta series was born. It epitomized La Dolce Vita, a time when anything designed in Italy reeked of cool elegance and modernity.
This feels very different to the car before. I feel much more comfortable in this one.
Time to say goodbye.
Driving on Tuscan roads in cars like this is undoubtedly an unforgettable experience, but it might not be accessible to everyone. A tour like this would set you back just under $3,000. If you compare that with the price of owning a car like this, it goes without saying that it's still a cheap day out.
And that was the last we saw of her. Inga Loveridge kept there, driving off into the deepest Tuscan countryside in an Alfa Romeo. Sadly, that's all we've got time for this week, but join us again next time,
when I'll be in Croatia to see how that country's desire to get into the Premier League of tourism is faring. If you want more travel stories, check bbc.com/travel, where this week you can find out how to go on a war crimes tour in The Hague. And you can also check our website at bbc.com/fasttrack.
But until then, from me and the rest of the Fast Track team here in Italy, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.